There's an increasing push for companies to confirm they manage climate risks appropriately and disclose the different risks and opportunities it presents to their business. And the Task Force on Climate Related Financial Disclosures has created the leading framework being used by firms across all sorts of different markets to do this. The SOA Research Institute commissioned a study to understand how insurers are responding to this framework and how it's being used to do climate disclosure, best practices, identify what's going on in current practices, and see what some of the emerging practices are going to be. Steve, thanks very much for doing this project. I'm wondering if you can describe some of the key takeaways of this research project.
Yeah, sure, Dale. And first of all, thank you for having us here to speak with you, and thanks for the opportunity to work with the SOA on this important topic. Some of the key findings, certainly we see from our research increased disclosure of climate-related risks and opportunities across all industries. And we included some research from the TCFD. They put out a status report each year, and the most recent status report from last fall showed some significant increases in climate-related disclosures, again, across the board, including in the insurance industry. They looked at 132 different companies and saw a broad increase in climate-related disclosures among those insurance companies, about 11% increase on average from insurance companies. So that's definitely encouraging. In fact, the insurance industry leads from the standpoint of the TCFD's assessment across, I think, 4 of the 11 different categories that the TCFD recommends disclosing on. So that's, again, a good momentum for the industry. Not surprisingly, there's a pretty stark difference in reporting across different size of companies, and larger companies that tend to have more resources to put toward this put more information out. So that wasn't particularly surprising finding, but something that we did find from the research. Another key finding is that there's many ways for companies to disclose their climate-related risks and opportunities. We looked at 6 different types of reports that companies use to disclose climate-related risks and opportunities. So lots of ways that companies can put out more information. And I think finally, it's just a consistent finding that we expect this to increase in terms of the pressure on companies to release climate-related information. The SEC just came out with their guidance a few days ago. The New York DFS has been leading on this. So we expect the trend that we saw in the research of increased disclosures to continue in the future.
Hannah, let me bring you in here as well. As you researched all this information, lots of different outcomes that are put into the report, I guess, what would you say you found as maybe some surprising outcomes from the research?
Sure, thanks, Dale. So as a part of our research, we performed interviews with different insurers to understand their use of the TCFD framework. And while all were supportive of the framework and found it to be useful to report on climate-related topics, they also faced challenges, particularly around scenario analysis, given the lack of detailed guidance that currently exists. And I don't think that that's unique to those that we interviewed, particularly in North America. So we're seeing a lot of progress, as Steve said, but there are many insurers who haven't done anything in regards to climate-related disclosures yet. And we know that many insurers are managing climate-related risks through their typical ERM, pricing, and underwriting processes and not yet disclosing that information publicly. But there is an increasing expectation to manage and disclose climate risks distinct from other risk types. So small insurers with limited resources may not know where to start, and large insurers with multinational businesses and many product lines may find it difficult to consolidate practices into one report. So as the expectation of climate-related disclosures continues to progress, which it certainly will, I think there will need to be some further details around what's expected of insurers to overcome some of these challenges.
Steve, given that many insurers are a lot of different points here, I guess I'd look to you, through this report, what advice do you have for insurers to either, get started, get the ball rolling, or maybe continue on their climate-related financial disclosure journeys?
Yeah, I think the first thing I would say is don't wait. The momentum is not expected to decrease. So I think I mentioned before, there are many different ways that companies can start to tell their climate story. And we looked at 6 different ways, including CDP responses and sustainability reports, all the way up to a standalone TCFD report. So the first thing I would recommend companies do is just understand that landscape what's possible, the different ways that you can choose to tell your story. That may include a peer assessment, just a scan of what some of your peers in the market are doing to get an understanding of what the expectation is. And then from there, start to formulate a gap assessment. What do you already have in terms of reporting out there around the ways that you manage your climate-related risks? All of that helps you understand how much work you have to do to sort of get yourself ready to put something out in the public and start to tell your story. From there, the next step is really to do a qualitative risk and opportunity assessment and just understand how climate-related risks might affect your business, and then working up to the more sophisticated quantification of climate-related risks and opportunities. And that's the direction of travel and ultimately what investors and regulators and others are expecting, but understanding that it's a journey and an evolution, and best to get started with something less sophisticated but meaningful.
Well, Steve, Hannah, thank you very much for stopping by to discuss this really important research that examines how insurers are responding to the framework being used for climate disclosure practices.
Dale, thanks a lot. Really, again, appreciate the opportunity to work with the SOA on this, and thanks for having us here.
Yep. Thank you, Dale.
And as always, we're looking for your feedback. If you have thoughts or questions about this topic or even this specific report, please feel free to contact us. Reach out to us at research@soa.org. The report can be found on the SOA website. Go to soa.org, click on the Research Institute, and then click on Catastrophe and Climate, and you'll find it among the variety of research reports that are there on that topic. Thanks for joining us today to learn more about these projects from the Society of Actuaries Research Institute.